What is up, everybody? This is Alex here from Alto Music. We are here at the Taylor booth at NAMM 2017. Be sure to check out some of our great line of Taylor guitars, both old and newer ones coming up, at www.altomusic.com. I'm here with Mark from Taylor Guitars. Thank you for being here so much. It means a lot.
Good to see you, man. Of course. Got some great stuff to show you guys this year because we really are all-inclusive. And we're going to talk about our Academy Series guitars, which is really a guitar we designed more for beginners and people that are in the beginning stages of playing.
Great.
We're going to talk about our GS Mini Bass, so we're including bass players for a change, which is kind of nice.
You heard it yourself, folks.
That's right. Kind of a
historical movement.
That's right. And we have, for our kind of established customer base, we've done a revamp of our 800 series, and we've created an 800 series Deluxe.
Wow.
So let's start with this. This is our Academy Series guitars. And what these are is basically, we were looking at it and realizing that we believe that the world is a much better place with more guitar players in it, and we want to help those guys play, right? So I think we all share that sentiment. And the reality is when you're picking up a guitar for the first time, it's typically very challenging, right? And a lot of people will give up quickly because they don't have the right instrument. The strings might be really high, it's hard to press down, might be big and bulky. There's a variety of reasons why people give up pretty quickly. So with that in mind, Andy Powers and the design team, they wanted to make a guitar that literally has everything a new player needs and nothing that they don't. So when all the functionality, the comfort, we don't need all the bling and the crazy stuff. We can get there down the road. So with the Academy Series, what we did was we took three considerations. And the first one was playability. The guitar has to play well. Second was durability. It has to be easy to maintain. And lastly was affordability. You know, make it at a price point that somebody that's picking up a guitar for the first time might be willing to invest in. So as far as playability, the things that we did was we put the strings closer together. We have a little bit thinner nut width up here at 1 11/16. We have a shorter string length, also known as the scale length, which makes it a little bit easier to press the strings down. And the string height, also known as the action, is lower. Wow. And so all those things put together with light gauge strings gives a new player their left hand really the least amount of energy it's going to require to get this guitar fretting notes and making it sound really nice. So the experience is typically much more gratifying. The other thing we did, and this is the part where you go, whoa, because we all did, we made an armrest on our Academy.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
Right? It's
no more sore armpits for you guitar players.
That's right. So the reality with this is that the armrest is typically reserved for our more premier instruments because it's very labor intensive, it's time consuming to make them, and you have to be very skilled to do it. But on this instrument, since we have no binding, we were able to automate this process. And in so doing, able to put it on our entry-level guitar so that we have something that a beginner is going to feel really comfortable with and really promotes good playing because it keeps your arm off the surface of the guitar here so you're not deadening the strings at all. So it's just comfortable, wrap around, everything's a little bit closer. And quite frankly, you know, if you're going to pick up a guitar, this will probably give you your best chance to succeed right out of the gate because you have a great experience.
Yeah, because comfort, when I was starting guitar, I was also having a hard time finding comfort in it as well as much as playing it. So I think to be able to accommodate to that, I think is going to really not be good for people who are already beginning guitars, but it's also going to be really good for people. It's going to make people want to pick up the guitar more. Yeah. So
I think the cool thing about it also is that as a stepping stone for a guitar, this is a guitar that you're going to love well after you outgrow it from the beginning stages. You'll go on to your next nicer Taylor or whatever it is, but this is a guitar you'll still be able to kind of keep for a lifetime. The durability of these instruments, I mean, they're built really quality, as you know, it's Taylor. They're easy to maintain, but this guitar kind of will give you all that for the life of the guitar. A couple other things we'll talk about briefly on the series is that we have three versions of it. This is called an A10. This is a dreadnought. And this is actually an A10E. Whenever I say E, it means we have electronics on it. The electronics that we put on the guitars, if you get one with electronics, it's a preamp that will give you the ability to amplify the instrument as well as a built-in tuner, so that's pretty cool. And this is more singer-songwriter, big open chord strumming stuff. That's kind of traditionally what the Dreadnought's for. But we also have our smallest full-size body shape, which is our Grand Concert. That's called an A12. Same thing, you can get it with or without electronics. But a little bit smaller, a little bit lighter touch, maybe finger style, or a smaller kid might appreciate that guitar a little more. And then we have the A12 in a 12th fret, where we attach the neck at the 12th fret instead of the 14th fret. This one's at the 14th fret, so is a regular A12. When we attach the neck at the 12th fret, it just moves everything a little bit closer, brings your left hand closer to your body. And so when you have that experience, again, a little bit easier. And on the 12th fret version, we added nylon strings. So you've got kind of all bases covered for that entry level.
Yeah, jack of all trades with the new model, because some people prefer nylon, so people who prefer nylon can also get this great new body with it as well. And people who prefer, whether they're beginning or they just want to take this out for a gig, it really, and that's what I love about Taylor guitars, because you could accommodate to beginners and to professionals, which I think is great.
That's right, and this guitar actually is really for both. I'm gonna definitely pick one of these up and the bass just to have The other cool thing, last I'll tell you, is it does come with a gig bag, and they're slated to come out the Dreadnought in March, and the grand concert to follow in April.
Oh, that's awesome.
Excellent. So this is our GS Mini bass, and this is something that we're trying to really include bass players for the first time, as we realize that they're often left out, and so.
Yeah, that's why I switched from bass to guitar.
That's right. Okay, great.
I needed more attention on stage.
We're going to switch you back. I think, we kind of laugh about it, but the truth is, you've never been to a campfire. At least we've never been to campfires. We've talked about it. We're the bass players there.
Unless they're throwing the bass in the bonfire.
Right, exactly. They don't get to join in with us, so it's kind of a bummer for them. So we wanted to create a bass that was portable, that had a great sound to it, but also could have a variety of applications. So one, seriously, going out to a campfire, or going out, when you're at the beach or whatever, and you're playing with some friends playing acoustic, it's nice to have a bass you can take along with you that's going to hang out with them. Second to that, you think about vocal rehearsals backstage. There's always a guitar player and a pile of singers, right? Bass guys in the back playing air bass, and it's not stoked. Take tour bus rehearsals, those types of things. But also as a couch bass, it's fantastic.
Yeah, because basses are very bulky, so this, I think, could really get rid of all that.
It really does. And I think, how often are people binge watching Netflix these days, right? If you're going to binge watch television, sit down with an instrument and become a better musician in the process.
You'll be hearing it yourself. I'm very thankful I do not have Netflix.
Yeah, right on. So it's really made for those, but the other audience that we made this for was really the guitar player that's making their own demos and their own recordings, or they want to get into playing bass. Typically playing a bigger bass, a lot of guitar players aren't comfortable with it. So this is on the chassis of our GS Mini guitar, so it's a size that guitar players are comfortable with. And now if they're in the studio and they want to track their own bass parts, we have built-in electronics and a tuner on these as well. And you can go right to the console, throw down your tracks. You can use it on stage, you can use it backstage, you can use it full up acoustic. So it's very cool in those regards. The other thing is for kids. You talk about little hands and being able to push down notes. Last week, as I was talking to Andy Powers about this guitar, he said, I could make the argument that this is the single best stringed instrument for somebody to learn a stringed fretted instrument on, because it takes a song to its core. It takes it down just to the root notes of a chord progression, one note at a time. It's small enough where small hands can get around it and get a feel for it. You can incorporate rhythm into it. So really all the fundamentals of music you can kind of find in this bass, and you can do it from a very small age. Part of why this is possible, there was 3 huge hurdles we had to get over to make this happen. The first of was the strings. You can't just go and buy a set of strings that's going to work on a short scale acoustic bass.
Yeah, some of bass strings are wider than the actual neck of this thing.
Right, exactly. So that's funny, but it kind of feels that way. The strings themselves, though, we had to design them with Diodaria. And what we did was we came up with a nylon core string with a bronze wrap, and then they dipped it in their EXP coating, which makes the string last a long time.
So does that fulfill the enjoyment of people who like both nylon and steel strings? Can that really?
That's exactly it, because the nylon gives us a much lighter touch. So like I was saying, a little kid can fret this note out. It has a very slinky feel to it when tuned to pitch, but it works great. The other thing we had to do was the hurdle was these bridge pins in the back. We had to come up with this dual-pronged bridge pin system that Andy developed and patented, because it worked out really well for us. With a bigger string, you can't get over the saddle as easy because it can't bend as much. So we had to kind of make that bend a little bit less exaggerated. So he created this little pin. It looks like a fork. You push the string in, the fork comes down over the string, and pushes the string backwards, which makes that angle much less, as you can see there. And then when you tighten the string, the fork kind of opens up and it locks the pin in place to the exact tension it needs to keep that string in place. So it stays in tune really well. And quite frankly, we patented that because I think that's a pretty incredible technology we came up with that I'm sure we'll see somewhere else down the road. It'll manifest itself at somewhere like it always does at Taylor. So once the strings and the bridges were dialed in, the last thing was these posts up here. We have a bigger post necessary for a bigger string, but on a bigger post usually comes bigger winders. So what we did was we partnered with one of our tuning machine manufacturers, came up with a big post with a regular size mechanism so that the bass looks very aesthetically correct and stays in tune well, plays great. If you hear it, it's like, how loud is that? And I always laugh because we're in a room full of people and it's just cutting right through the mix.
I mean, I go to metal concerts religiously, and that's even just as loud as that. Right. So
nice. So the guitar comes out in March as well. The bass comes out in March with electronics exclusively. It does come with a gig bag as well.
Excellent.
So that's our GS Mini bass. For our established customer base, we have this. This is our new 800 Series Deluxe.
It's beautiful.
Isn't that gorgeous? That's kind of what everybody's reaction is. What we wanted to do on this guitar was we wanted to create a guitar that was somewhere lived between the 800 series and 900 series. The 900 series has a lot of really great playing features to it, the armrest, the Adirondack, those types of things, but it's a little more ornate and a little bit more expensive. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to give that person that loves our 800 series but wanted all the playability, the comfort, the tone of our 900 series, but maybe on something a little less, a little more understated, I guess is how I would say that. And so what we did was we made the 800 series deluxe, and there was 3 primary changes that occurred on this guitar to make it a little bit more powerful. We'll start back here. How cool is that, right?
Is that the armrest that we saw on the beginner guitar?
It's a little different, but yeah, it is an armrest. It's called a radiused armrest, and it's with a piece of rosewood. It's just super comfortable, and it's really beautiful to look at. Again, it keeps your arm off the face of the guitar, so you get a little more punch out of the instrument.
Yep.
And then when we pair that with Adirondack spruce bracing now on this instrument, it's kind of like having an extra gear on this instrument where you can really dig in and get much more volume out of it. And then lastly, we put on these Godot 510 tuners, and the Godot 510 tuners,
They look sturdy.
they're killer, right? They're nickel, a little nickel face to them. They got that kind of beveled edge to them. But what they are is they're a 21-to-1 gear ratio as opposed to our normal 18-to-1 gear ratio on all of our other guitars.
Okay.
Now 18-to-1 is more than sufficient. Those are great. This is just a little bit more precise and just really smooth. And the result is you get a guitar that stays in tune really well because of the Adirondack spruce has a lot more power, because of the armrest has more comfort. And when you're comfortable playing a guitar, you are going to play better and sound better. That's exactly what this guitar does. So I think that people
Taylor guitarist does.
Right? So I think some people are going to find that their best music is really yet to be created on this instrument. And finally, on the 800 Series Deluxe, that's noteworthy is the fact that we did it in 3 body shapes as well. So this is our 814 CE Deluxe, which is our Grand Auditorium, our most common body shape. But we also did it on our Dreadnought, which is known as an 810E Deluxe. And the 810, there's no C on there, there's no cutaway. So that guitar is just a cannon of an instrument. You want something you can really dig into and really dominate the musical conversation, that's the instrument. And lastly, we took it to our smallest body shape, which is our Grand Concert, and we made what we call our 812 CE 12th fret. Smallest body shape, 12th fret, all the same stuff with the radius armrest, Adirondack spruce, but a small package, a lot of punch, and guitars are just amazing.
Wow, that's awesome. And is that it for 2017?
Pretty much, yeah. We added Walnut to our 100 series, and we added Koa to our 200 series Deluxe. But other than that, yeah, these are kind of the main offerings. We're dealing with beginning students, bass players, and our established customer base. So we kind of covered all bases, I think.
Yeah, and that's great. I mean, I think you're really starting 2017 off on a really high note and really appealing to multiple audiences. Like I could really see people, whether they're a professional guitar player or a beginner guitar player, I could just see them instantly going to Taylor because of the versatility you guys have to offer now.
Right. Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
I
you
really
so
appreciate
much.
it.
Remember, check out Taylor's newest products. I'm Alex from Alto Music at NAMM 2017. I'm here with Mark from Taylor Guitars, and we will see you next time.